Are you fed up with getting the yellow pages? Because we are. Me and Kyle are going to actually do something pretty crazy. We're going to run around Montreal and collect a bunch of yellow page unwanted phone books, and we're going to build a mountain out of the ones that we find, because we think that people share in our opinion that you do not need the super pages and the yellow pages and the can pages anymore because you have the internet.
It's going right here.
Okay. I'm not sure why you want to dump them here when you could recycle them right over
If you
there.
deliver them to people's houses without their permission, why can't we deliver them back to you?
And here people are saying that they still want them, so.
John Gormley, excerpts from the video. You can find it on YouTube. Just check Yellow Page Mountain. The production of M.A. Davison and the most shamelessly self-promoting guy I know, Kyle McDonald. You know, Red Paperclip Kyle, Kyle who gets himself more viral activity on the net than any other living human being. Well, this new one called the Yellow Page Mountain Initiative is M.A. and Kyle. Kyle actually does all the grunt work. M.A. does a great job at narrating this and being the face of it. All those yellow pages, those huge big bricks of books that arrive at your home, they go around and in fairly short order, gather hundreds of them and put a pile outside the offices of the Montreal headquarters of Yellow Pages Group. And the very last bit there is a spokesperson for Yellow Pages saying, like, why are you dumping them here? You know what? You should be recycling them. And of course, MA's point is, you can dump them at our house. Why can't we just dump them back at your house? M.A. Davison in Montreal. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Great job on that video, by the way.
Thank you very much. It was 60 hours worth of editing.
Okay, so what's the feedback been from people around the country?
So, pardon me, say that again?
The feedback you've received from around the country.
It's been overwhelmingly positive, but for sure there are people who disagree with me, especially those that are advocates for the elderly and those who live in rural areas.
So how did this idea come to you?
Because I tried to get into my apartment on, September the 29th, and there were huge stacks of all the yellow pages in front of my apartment door, and I actually had to displace them to get into my apartment. So I went upstairs, and actually via Twitter, I broke up with the yellow pages over Twitter. And I saw immediately that two people had retweeted my tweet and thought, you know, it just kind of stuck in the back of my mind. And then I was driving by this big construction yard, and I thought, what if people were to make a huge mountain out of all of these unwanted yellow pages that are stuck in, you know, hallways? And that would be pretty phenomenal. And so I just put it out there on Twitter on October the 5th. Does anybody want to join me in making a mountain out of unwanted yellow pages? And a bunch of my friends dropped or joined in, including Kyle.
Now, it didn't take you long. You had 500 books in how long?
Within 10 hours.
Wow. Now, 500 yellow page books, that displaces a fair bit of volume.
Yeah, it was two big carloads of Kyle's SUV.
So what did the Yellow Pages, what was the reaction generally from the Yellow Pages people?
At first they seemed curious because I talked to the Yellow Pages community manager a lot on Twitter. And then, I mean, they themselves volunteered to give us an interview. So that's why when we showed up, they were waiting there. And it's been fairly neutral. I mean, they've tried to kind of do a bit of a dance on Twitter, to kind of play this out favorably in their direction. But they themselves, I think, want to promote their digital properties.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, because the Yellow Pages themselves as a company are pretty active digitally, aren't they? I mean, the same service they run, you know, on the hard copy, they're doing on the net anyway.
Yeah, and I would love to see them transition completely over to the net.
Now, there's an interesting sidebar story here. One of the analysts in the communications business says the biggest pushback on Yellow Pages comes from, quote, the 27 to 33-year-old iPhone aficionados. Does that shoe fit?
No, I'm not an iPhone aficionado. I have a BlackBerry. Although, yes, I am 32 years old. And actually, right now, if you go online to where the article is published online for the Globe and Mail, I believe 53% of Canadians who responded to their poll indicated that they never use the Yellow Pages.
You know, it's funny how life changes. I mean, I'm a year or two older than 32, like exactly 20 years older. And, you know, and the yellow pages were always a staple around the house, right? Now, I can't remember the last time I opened one. You know, and every year they come, you put them, you know, in the ordained spot in the house, but you just don't use them.
Yeah, the last time I used a yellow page directory, I believe I was probably about 18 looking to order pizza.
I was just saying.
That was the 90s.
Well, exactly. I was just laughing because I still sometimes would open it up to look at the Chinese takeout, right? Because a lot of Chinese takeout restaurants will have some things in it. So if you're looking for inspiration. But isn't that interesting? So the message you want to leave MA with Yellow Pages, you want them to just simply move away from the physical use of paper.
Yeah, and to make it opt-in as opposed to opt-out, so that they don't mass deliver. Because now that the numbers are now indicating via the Globe and Mail, if we can take that as a statistical representation of the wants of Canadians, that means that 11.5 millions of the directories that they're delivering, people do not want and they do not use, and they send directly to the recycling bin.
Good point. Well, I think you're going to get some interesting discussion on this. I thank you and have a great day.
Yeah, thank you very much.
M.A. Davison joining us in Montreal, who along with her pal Kyle McDonald, and of course Kyle is the One Red Paperclip guy who you remember ended up scoring the house in Kipling. They did this thing, and M.A. explains that it was actually just back in September. She literally couldn't get into her apartment door because the delivery had been made by the Yellow Pages. And in a lot of apartment buildings, take however many units, 20, 30, whatever number of units it would be that you would book on the Yellow Pages. And then, Gary, let's get some calls going, 1-877-332-8255. So what do you think when you hear this? Should you, and this is the bottom line of this whole exercise that Emma and Kyle are trying to do here, should you say the deal with Yellow Pages should be opt-in? Because right now, of course, they would deliver the Yellow Pages to your apartment, to your house. And she says that if half the people use Yellow Pages, well, that means there are millions of these directories that go straight into a recycling bin. So if you could opt in where you say, I want Yellow Pages, that would make more sense, as opposed to, please stop delivering it. 1-877-332-8255. What do you think? Do the Yellow Pages get used anymore? Daryl in Saskatoon, how do you see this?
Oh, I use the Yellow Pages all the time. I wish the computers would work fast enough and efficient enough, but if I want to find something out quick, I grab a phone book.
Okay, so still quicker for you to physically go through the book.
Absolutely. Like, I was one of the first people I know to get internet service. Use it for lots of things, but especially at work, if I'm looking at numbers or businesses in different communities, I went down to the phone book store in Saskatoon and I got phone books for the whole bloody province, and it is way quicker than interwebbing the Google machine.
Just wait. So even on a conventional phone number, you go to Canada 411, pop in a name, you can find it quicker in a phone book?
For businesses, it's quicker.
Yeah, you need a higher speed internet or something, my friend, because probably to be fair to you, you know how to search it quicker manually. But I can find something on the net quicker than I can get up and physically grab the book. Interesting. So Daryl says, long live the Yellow Pages. 1-877-332-8255. So this campaign called the Yellow Page Mountain Initiative, it was only 500 books, but it has so not a mountain, but a good-sized molehill, because 500 Yellow Pages directories at about 3.5 inches per in terms of height, in terms of size. You put this thing up, and it's a pile of books in front of the Montreal headquarters of the Yellow Pages group. What do you think? Does the Yellow Pages have a future in the physical hard copy paper variety? And the serious message here is these young people say you should be able to opt in, as opposed to everybody getting Yellow Pages and saying you then want to opt out. How do you see it? 1-877-332-8255. I'm Gormley. What do you think of this? This is News Talk Radio.